Hello everyone, it's time, by the looks of things, to start a brand new restoration project. This is a 2008 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, and in orange. This was made around 2012 in the second week, by the looks of it, just by the base code. This one had MC5s and definitely had a lot of love. It was originally orange. I don't know if I'll paint it orange still. We'll see. But it's definitely time for a brand new paint job for this thing and maybe a new set of wheels. So, let's get this thing ready to be taken apart. Drill bit in. And let's start drilling this thing. I'll be back when I get this done. Alright, so this thing is apart. We have our body that is all chipped. And as you can see inside, it looks like it was a car that was a victim to the sandbox by all the sandiness and all that sand texture that's inside, as well as like this sandiness on the windshield. You got some rust in the axle, so this thing was probably outside. And without further ado, I'm going to clean this up and get this thing tapped, and then I'll be back. With the parts that we needed, we got this kind of cleaned out a little bit. We have our glass cleaned a little bit, as best as we could get it at least. We did the wheel wells a little bit. I might want to go in those with a little more detail. And there's not much you can do for this guy, but we clean this thing up, and I guess the next thing we got to do is strip the paint off of the body. So we got ourselves some new wheels for this thing. I think these wheels will look really nice on the Lancer, and they're actually relatively similar to the wheels that were on the 2015 K-Case release, but not quite the same. And the reason why I changed the wheels, these are so stiff. Excuse me, see if we can get you to focus. There we go. They're so stiff that the wheels don't even turn with the axles, and it's bending the axle with it. Same goes for this one. And with the axle, your wheels should have no problems turning by themselves without the axle having to move them like here. So we got new wheels, and I think now we just got to strip the paint off of this thing and then paint it. So now we have our stripper back, the paint stripper, and without further ado, let's put this thing in and make sure that the paint gets everywhere that it will cover. I'll be back now when the paint stripper does its job and the body is all silver or bare metal. So our body is got most of its paint off. And as you can see, it's still a bit of corrosion on the body and a little sandy. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand with our rough sandpaper. The stuff I'm using is 180 grit. And then eventually we'll move on to our smaller stuff. As you can see, there isn't as much corrosion now like there is there. But the lighter stuff's going to get rid of those scratches. And I'll be back once I'm done sanding. We got this thing sanded off finally, and now it's not like a corroded look, as this thing looks a bit more clean. And what I'm deciding to do is we are going to paint this thing in a metal cast color red, some duplicate color, and let's get started. I'll turn on the light after I apply my first coat. Do it. And there we go. Makes the thing look even more red than it is. So a few coats later, our paint is now dry and in a nice candy red. Honestly, one mean looking car. We have our rims. And without further ado, let's get this bad boy back together. So we are at the final stages of this. Just gotta put this screw in. see if I can get this thing. I messed up one of the ends, so I'm gonna have to put a little JV weld on that in a little while. But we got this thing almost done. And boom. There it is. Our Evo. Looking really sharp in this red. And I'm really impressed with how this one turned out. Let's get it on the turntable. And honestly, it was down to either red or blue for me, and I wasn't expecting to paint this thing red. And I was considering doing an ombre effect of having blue and then having it transition to purple and then to red, which I did the exact same thing with another Dracnator. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a photo shoot with these two cars to end off the video. Without further ado, let's get to it.